you go, YouTubers. Take 3, right? Yeah, that's it. And I'll do you the back tomorrow in a minute. That's my review for lunch today. And I've got a pie. Got a bacon, cheese, meat pie. And a ham, cheese, tomato roll. And I bought a Boston bun. And I've got Mary. Got Mary a little bee. And nice cone. Nice cone. Have a look at the car. Look at that backdrop. Look at the backdrop for the car. Is that not a beautiful thing for BMW? Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, we'll put the roof in. Might as well. Fuck, start it up. Rightio, here comes the roof. There we go. There we go, what you do? I see! I see the stars and the bright. And there you go. Cookie monster. What's the windows? They come up. Rightio, put the windows down. Alright. So, put this here. It'll stay there. Oh, look at that. That might just work. I think it will. Will it? Yeah. Alright. So this is the ham, cheese and roll. But we're trying the pie. No sauce. I've got a bottle of water, a latte, oh, and a Boston bun. Right. Just done one job, dropped off some keys. Yeah, that's right, you heard, dropped off some keys. Alright, so, this is bacon, cheese and meat pie. It's alright. The scenery makes up for it. No, look at that. Look at that. Right? Look at that view. Out here on my own. Hey? See? Might get over one. That happened to me once. We rode all the way up to Northern Territory. I'll tell you a funny story. So you know how you get those moments of you just lost, you're just overwhelmed with the beauty, and then anyway, I get that bit. Anyway, we get there when you could climb the rock, when the when the abos didn't care, but now they care. Now no one goes to Where's Rock. And guess what? Ayers Rock Resort is going broke. Hey, good on you, Indigenous people. Hey, the only reason why they never went up there, you know why they never went up there? Because there's nothing up there to go up there. That's why they never went up there. If you put free alcohol up there, they'd be up there. Wouldn't they? Put a bar on top of the rock, they'd be up there. Oh yeah, they'll be up there. You know, defaming the art, the whole lot. Remember, I'll get up there and I had to have a moment on my own. They call this place, so on the other side, if everyone had, when anyone's hat blew off, it always blew around. They called it the brain. It's one side of the rock where it looks like a brain, you know, hollowed out and stuff. So I was overlooking that. You could swing around. And that, yeah, I had a moment with nature. Beautiful. Oh, that's the bacon. There. All clumped together. Beauty. So you just get one almighty salt blast in your mouth. I'm reaching for a Coke. Yeah, so, the tide's coming in. Might see Danny. Right? Might see Danny. Let's see if we can go see Danny. Is Danny coming? Is Danny there? Right, watch out. Is it deep enough? Hey? Oh, look, there's some rocks there. There's some big black rocks up there. Danny better be careful. Hey, there's some more rocks over there too. We better watch out for this log too. He'll hit that too. That bloke will hit anything, no matter what he's ever tried. If he flew a plane, then if Danny was flying a plane, I'm telling you, he'd be the only bloke recorded in history to fly into a frozen cloud. And he'd probably ask where the handbrake is in the plane. Yeah, no, mate. Only insurance you get when you get a plane, mate, it's life insurance. And, your normal insurance after that, because you won't be fixing your plane, you'll be dead in it. Alright. So, what are we going to talk about today? What are we talking about? How about using time efficiently and understanding the time that people have invested or are looking to get from you. That you should be giving them. We've all helped people. And and we're not alone anymore. You want to do a burnout? Fuck off for you. Because I'm real friendly. What are they doing down here? Two fatties. He's finishing work, mate. He's coming down here for a nook. Anyway. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not implying anything here. I'm just saying whether you think the person's put in a bit of time to get you somewhere, or if it's just it's not even an effort for them for you to benefit from whatever they've done, right? I think you should be very thankful and appreciative of it, and if something's coming up or anything like that, you need to be transparent to all, especially if the person's gone out and got a job for you, or it's just anything, gone. It might. I don't see it as I've gone out of my way, but yet I've put an effort in, and that. You need to relax. Don't get overwhelmed, because they get overwhelmed all the time. It's people just stop then, don't they? Because if you're getting overwhelmed all the time, you're gonna forget to say thank you, and you're gonna forget to concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing. I'd rather someone say thanks, yep, no worries, and get on with it, and knuckle in. That's the idea. There's a lot of ways to make money these days. A lot of ways. You've got girls doing, OnlyFans and stuff, fucking shit, TikTok and everything else like that, but when someone actually goes out and, puts up their for you, I do understand people that have, crises and that they get sick and whatever else like that. I'm not here to compete with people about pain or whatever like that, but I think there's some things that you just need to, I don't know, different breed, different era, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a bit of a trying day. Yeah. But yeah, looking at this as much as it's, you know, beautiful evening. You know, waiting for Denny. You know. But I'll go back to one of my other videos. It's okay to talk. And when I mean, go back to a couple of my videos. My grandfather, this is what I'm saying. If you have to do something, right? And I do understand, right? So years ago, right? When I was a kid, even before then, before me, people used to say, mate, you're not cut out for this job. You know, they were honest, and they're telling you you're not cut out for it, and they're telling you it for a reason, right? You know, you're gonna mess with your head. You know, I mean, you know, I worked at the abattoirs, you know, and you know, I ended up being the after the animals, you know, after the beast was put to death, right? I was the next bloke to, you know, skin it, and I mean, it's hot, it's warm, they're heavy, they're not frozen. You see these blokes in the butcher shops, they're picking up a hind quarter. The thing is frozen. It's the fat's gone hard. It's easy to pick up. You try and pick up half a beast, you know, and it's floppy. It's warm. You know, you got to disembowel it without nicking it. You can't infect the meat. You got to get the skin because the tannery, they want everything of the thing, you know. But what you don't realise is it's not the bloke who's doing it. I mean, this guy who was killing the animals, right? He had strict rules. It's only myself, him, and the boss could go in, right? You know, he caught a couple of guys, you know, picking on the animals when they're starting, revving them up, and he goes, you know, when you're in a slaughterhouse, let me tell you, right, it's a different life, okay? They got smashed, right? You don't tease the animals, don't scare them anymore, they're already scared. He used to put on the, you know, play this nice music, like opera, you know, to calm the animals, and they come in, right, one by one, and not one animal saw another dead animal. He didn't want that. So as soon as he did the kill, he'd go and get the animal, the next one. But it was all cleaned up. They didn't see it. They knew. Of course they knew. But at least we did our best to make it nice, you know. But if he wasn't cut out for it, someone would have said to him, mate, you're not cut out for this. It doesn't matter how much money it's you can't do a job. You know, I've got to do this. Look at the money I could earn. Yeah, you could, but you're not going to, mate. You know why? Because you're going to go mental with the stress, whatever. Could be putting out fires, could be a policeman, could be anything. These days, people don't do this. They don't tell you anymore. They don't say, mate, you're not cut out for it. And if they did, Jesus Christ, you know what? People aren't saying it. You know why? Because they're too scared to, and just in case. Because now people say this. What do you mean? You racist? Hey, yeah. I'm a woman. I'm a man. Yeah. I'm a dog. You know? Because of fuck. You know, you're not cut out for the fucking job. You're not doing it properly. You know? You want to be a police officer? Be authoritative. Be assertive. Be a fucking presence. Fucking got coppers running around there that are 5 foot nothing. They've got rid of some exercises. They don't even drag the Hessian bag. They don't even jump the fence anymore. Fucking Christ. You know? What was it? We passed the oldest police officer. How old was he? 57? 57? Fuck. I mean, oh, great. You know, he's a healthy bloke. No worries. Yeah. You know what he is? He's a fucking... He's an accident waiting to happen, mate. He's a detriment. 57. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'll point out some couple of things, right? Okay, in this, right? So, you know Julia Knight. Remember Julia Knight running around, you know, shooting everybody, right? Imagine being that copper who had him. Who had him with a gun. Yeah, aimed at him, and he had him. He had his revolver out, and he didn't shoot him. Oh my God. I can tell you now, that copper, he would have copped a heap of shit. Because all of his colleagues would have said, why didn't you shoot him? Look at the destruction, why didn't you shoot him? Some of you out there might go, oh, you can't do that. Yeah, well, you can. and he would have been well within his rights to do it. That's what I mean. Can't freeze, mate. That's when people, like my days with my grandfather, they knew, they got each other. No, you're not cut out for this, not cut out for that, right? You're a tank driver, you're this, you're that, okay? It's like today, right? When they fight wars now, okay? You look at the past wars, okay? Past wars, okay? The last bloody war, really, was Vietnam. We're talking up and close, personal, everything else like that. Desert Storm and Iraq and all that, right? Okay? Yeah, there were some battles, right? But you've got guns now that can shoot 3 kilometres, mate. Planes are in the air, they can't even see them. Can't even see them. There's no plane. The bomb just straight down your throat. The pilots don't see it. Every now and again, they have to get these pilots down. And they have to launch some of those missiles. And then they get to see their target. And they get to see what's around the target. And there's some, what can we say? Civilians, if you want. It's a bit like what's going on over in, I can't believe, if everyone, I can't believe what's going on with the Palestinians and the Jews, mate. These are all mental. You need to look at the history. History says what it is. It's the facts. The facts are there. I can tell you a story, okay? All right, here's one. So, everyone had their theory or stories about Noah's Ark, yeah? Okay? They had okay? Well, guess what? They found the fucking thing, didn't they? So, whatever you said is shit, because now that's fact. And that's the way it is. It's simple, isn't it? I've got another theory. Want to hear my theory? I'll tell you my theory. You know how the English started using Australia as, like sending they called them convicts. They would just some people were just a bit outspoken, jumped on their soapbox. They did nothing wrong. And they're split apart from their families. Right? Now, the reason why with World War 1 and 2, a lot of Australians went back is because, and it was mainly men, right, is because they wanted to go home back to London to their families. So a lot left here. They weren't coming back. They weren't going to fight the war either, right? Or they were going to fight the war and that was the deal that they could go back, right? Now, the English aren't silly people, okay? They circumnavigated this place, right? And it was supposed to be humanless. There's no inhabitants, okay? That's what it was supposed to be, right? But we were very close to Indonesia. And it's a fact. It's a fact. Okay? Oh, it's getting cold in there. Oh, I'm not even in the water. My balls look up around my throat. And the dog going like that, man. Right. Now, so, hang on. Alright, so, now, if the English, they've gone, right, what will they inhabit it? What will they inhabit it with? Will they inhabit it with, some outspoken people who are pissing off our government over here, and we'll get rid of them, send them over there. We'll create a colony, right? Okay? Well, they got here. Now, I'm just going to, it's just a theory, okay? So don't be jumping down my throat or going off, And also, can you do me a favour? Right? Can you comment? I ain't getting bugger all comments, mate. I like to read the comments. And that, anyway. So, right. So, how's that? Oh, can we got that there? There we go. Right. So, now, the Indonesians. So if the English are transporting prisoners or people they don't want in their country all the way over all the way over the other side of the globe, right? There's Indonesia, and there's this little track, through it coming through, and there's Australia when they were connected. Why can't people sort of think, well, maybe Indonesia was doing the same thing with their troublemakers, using Australia as a bit of for their convicts, right? Because I'll tell you this, right? Pretty much if you look at the way the Aboriginals set up their tribe and that, there was not one leader. They didn't get along. They all blew, and they were like gangs. That's representative of prisoners, isn't it? I'm just saying, there's another way of looking at it, you know. And then, you know, so Indonesia's been doing that for a little bit before, and then the English get here and go, oi. And I mean, also, the way Captain Cook and his men were greeted, they didn't even hit the shore. When the Aboriginals come out and speared one of the blokes in the boat. What are you going to do if you get a spear in your arm and you're out in the water? Of course you're going to raise your musket and you have to, you're going to shoot back. They end up pissing off down the coast a bit more, you know, where they could see a bit, you know. They weren't friendly, and that little friendly bunch, but the proper natives, you know, around Hawaii and stuff, Fiji, and you know, they're coconuts and boobies and everything out. Everyone's loving it, mate. Right? And they were friendly. You know, Papua New Guinea, not so friendly. They'd eat you in the soup. You know, it's like Mabo, right? And that. And then he claimed his land, yeah, Mabo, right? I don't know, I followed it, and the judge that did that. He's actually said this, right? He said, "You're very smart. You didn't leave your land," and he didn't. He stayed, but he had enough nous to say when they started looking at his land, he had enough nous to make a boat and get over here, and. As much as the judge, you know, didn't want to, but he did it. But he said this. He made sure he said this in closed because it was closed to the public. The ending, right? They sent that Mabo went for a long time, many years, right? Now, you might all know this, but there was that land, the Torres Strait over there, right? Bad for shipwrecks, right? And people the ship had crashed just out there, right? And they'd swim to the shore. Torres Strait Islands is there. Oh, hello, come here. Bash them over the head. They did a field trip from court, right? They did, and they found over 300 skeletons of people from shipwrecks. They weren't friendly. He said if you'd shown any form of, like, you know, able to travel, because they didn't have a boat. Nothing. They wouldn't have gotten it. You know, I'm one for, you know, giving out, you know, the right information, awarding people, you know, punishing them, awarding them, you know, equally, you know, and that. And I'm not a racist, but you know, why does it always come down to, you know, oh, you don't like gays? Oh, yeah, I worked at the biggest. I opened the biggest gay nightclub in the Southern Hemisphere called Tasty. They made a documentary about it. Right, I was there from day open to day bust when the police were there. Right, every one of those people, thanks to my evidence and stuff, every single patron got a payout of some level. Every single one. You know, so I don't, you know. But now, you know, look at life now. People, they don't care. And we are bringing the wrong people in. We are. I've just driven around here, and I've gone through Hazen Estates. My God, mate, you know, the Indians, right? On the way to Melton, there's this big, huge, it's like Bollywood set. And it is. It's for them. It's just purely for them. Massive, their own little, you know, it's like their own shopping centre, just for them. And I found another one, five stars, five wings, five. Oh, mate, Jesus Christ, guys. And the Sudanese, I mean, you know, people go, oh, you know, well, you can't be like that. What do you mean you can't be like that? It's them all the time. You know, I'll tell you this. How's this? I was looking after a building site one night. Anyway, so, and this car pulled up, and they were looking at the property, the building site, and of course I've shot my head down there. What are you doing? Hey, police! Whoa! They were already back in the car. I went over the car. It was a freezing night. Freezing night. They had the windows down, music playing, right? having Slurpees with their t-shirts on. I don't think they were smoking dope. Okay? I think it might have been something a little bit more. Okay? No speed, not ecstasy. Right? A bit of crack, right? In the pipe. Right? Now, two of them were black. They were Sudanese. The other one, he wasn't Aussie. He had a bit of a tan on him. Might have been Sri Lankan, I don't know. Or a half-caste Indian. Anyway, the car didn't have any, it had one pump load on it, right? So anyway, they were hanging around a bit, and they, sort of gave me a bit of lip. And because I stood my ground and stuff, made a bit of noise, and my torch, I had the sun with me, so I lit up the whole street. And they're like, they're sussing like this, I mean, I wasn't bluffing them. If any one of them attempted to open the door, that was it, mate. I have to take that as they're coming out with knives, and it's on, right? Anyway, they go. I ring up the Sunshine Police Station, right? I get this female on the phone, right? And I'm telling her, she said, "Did you get a description?" I said, "Yep." I said, there were 3 males. One, he was like a milky cream colour, Okay. The other 2 were Sudanese, black. She's going, sorry? I said they were black. That's a bit racist. How the fuck is that racist? You wanted a description. I said, what did you say to her? I said this. I went down there after my shift. And I do this, right? I went down there, I spoke to the senior sergeant, and I said, I've been doing this job for 34 years. I've worked at the Hilton, right, with the reggae night, and you get the black African Americans coming in, right, to do the dance under there, with the basement, which was a Maori Tongan bar down there, right. I'm not racist, mate. You know what I'm racist of? The dickhead. That's what I'm racist of. Okay? You cool, me cool. Okay? You're nice. Okay? Get to learn people's customs, mate. Right? But Sudanese, no, mate. Indians, they lie. Right? And she really pissed me off. And I said to her, you wanted a description. I gave you a description. Right? 2 black, they were Sudanese. Right? And I don't think, it wasn't a warm night either. And they were wearing t-shirts, so they were taking something. Oh, there's a bit judgment. Here we go. I'm judgmental and I'm a racist. I went down there, and I told her sergeant, he'd already pulled my name up, right? And he said, I said, I'll use every tool in my hand, at my disposal, when I'm doing the job. Okay? When I'm on this job, I'll ring the police, fire breeze, everyone. Doesn't matter. I'll ring them all because I'm on the job. 5 minutes before the job, I'm not ringing no one, mate. I'm not on the job. I'll sort it out my way. Okay? Same thing if I'm off the job. Right? I'll sort it out my way. Right? And I said, I'm not a racist, mate. I just don't like a dickhead. Right? And 2:30 in the morning, I've got 2 black kids, 2 black blokes, whatever kids, you really can't tell how old they are. Right? They're fucking tall, though. Right? They're looking at me. I said, they're the only, I mean, they look like skin and bone, but they're not malnourished. That's the way they are built. I said, and she really upset me, calling me a racist. I've worked with gays, lesbians, and everything, a whole lot. Right? And, and something was done about it. You asked for a description, what am I supposed to say? They don't even say it on the, they don't even say it on the news. They don't go, they don't go, Sudanese black, they were black. What's wrong with saying what they are? They've got no problems calling us whiteys. Jesus Christ. And the Aboriginals, they are. Their heritage, they're not Torres Strait Islanders, mate. Believe me, they're not. They're not thick enough. They're not heavy enough. Right? Okay? Plus, they don't like the water. Right? As again, do your facts and figures, and you'll see. But it's just a theory of mine that I was running it past someone, and I said, "Yeah, but look, all these tribes of different tribes of Aboriginals, right? There was only 6 tribes out of all the tribes that came here that did any good, but they weren't tribes. I'm telling you now, They've come over here, they've gone, oh yeah, this is alright, you know, yeah, easy pickings, you know, the animals have left it. And Australia was an unmanned place. With what was living on it, I mean, you had wombats working around the size of rhinos, mate. What do you reckon they're doing? Right? Kangaroos, you know, teeth and shit, you know. And I mean, this is the other thing I said to this person. I said, right, I said, now, if they were living with it, I said, it just shows how the brains of our indigenous person, right? Every other person in the world, right? Okay, even now, put it this way now, right? You have a plane crash, you land on an island. You don't know what is actually on the island until night comes and you hear the noises. And that's when shit moves, right? Okay? And if I'm making a stick, a spear, it's this big, yeah, okay? And I hear a big noise, guess what? I'm making a bigger spear, okay? It's just brain sense, yeah? They're still running around out there throwing sticks and stones. So they weren't born, they came here. It just proves to show that they came here. The Portuguese found the place because they found things before the Aboriginals and that. But oh no, you know, because there was a bit of a no, you know, okay, and technically we shouldn't be here, right? Anglo-Saxons and stuff are on the wrong side, right? But enough, people, pick up a book, read it. Stop believing what some dickhead says, and look who's saying it, okay? Right? You want to go to the outback? Go and have a look at the outback, right? You tell me, if you were jumped out there, you know what? How is it that we're out there? We can evolve. We change. They didn't. Their weaponry didn't get any better. They didn't, you know. Our animals were massive, mate. They were bad. You know, we had some killer animals here, right? And you're telling me that the weaponry wouldn't advance? It advanced everywhere else. Jesus, you know, I think every other tribe in some way managed to have an animal into the tribe that they trained to do something. Nah. The only reason why they got dogs hanging around them is because they eat everything that they drop. You know what? I think enough's enough, mate. It's been too long. You know, it's like, how long do you want to argue for? How long is this going to go for? And they still give them shit. That's another thing I want to pick up. Jacinda Allen, you gave an apartment to a Palestinian woman, yes? Right? And so she was closer to her family. She was the grandmother, right? Her children are over here and they've had kids and they've got their own apartments here. Okay. I just want to ask you this. When did we start bringing in other people's baggage? And why is she getting an apartment? Why can't she go live with the kids? She's obviously, this is the thing, you've got to understand people, right? These women over here in the Middle East, okay, right? Okay, the strict Muslim ones, right? Okay, let me tell you this. They don't work. They've never worked. They're a vessel. Okay? That's what they are. And you want us men, right, to show respect towards that. Oh, mate, you women, I tell you, that stand up for these Middle Eastern people, right? Okay? They are nice to your face while they're getting what they want, okay? As soon as they've got it, they're not nice, okay? Right? Do you want to go through what they do? Have to be married here? You know, and that person who, I will say this, the person or the people who wouldn't cut that man's hair at the hairdressing salon, calling him a baby killer, a masochist. It's a known fact that the Middle Eastern people have killed a lot more of their own on their own than any outsider has. The other thing is right, if the daughter doesn't marry, she's dead. Okay? If the mother does something wrong, she's dead. Right? They stone them. Stone them. At least every other culture, there was no torture. Right? It's just hanging, whatever. Imagine being stoned with 10mm stones. And it's only men. Men can only go to the burials. No women are there. They're not allowed. Not allowed. So when did she come over, Jacinda? Who's paying her way? Because I thought it had to be, if you wanted to bring your family member over, you had to prove that they would never ever be a burden to our system. You're giving her an apartment, mate. gave a woman's this woman, her name was Huing. Oh no, was it? Aha. It was Aha. That's it. Aha. That was her name. Aha. What the fuck's that? At least the Italians and the Greeks, when they go off, hey, what's your name? Hey, me, Fadé, you know, and that they go, you want to be David or Chris? You know, oh, okay, Jimmy. Hey, they're fine. They're fine. Fuck. How many Asians came over in the 70s, 80s, right? And you got David, John. What was another one? There's made a lot of Davids in the Asians. They like David. Was John? Was there another one? Well, some of them kept their sort of peng. You know, you get peng. If that was all right, yeah, we can live with that. Yeah. But it was mainly a thing. It's like adjustment to come in. You know, what's his name? Peng. You know, just But you don't reckon the Aboriginals were hard done by? Okay. Well, all of you need to go over to Broome. Okay. Now, over in Broome, what do they do in Broome? What's the main thing over in Broome? Pearling. Now over there you had the divers, the Chinese divers. And the long plait, the long black hair, you know, plaited into one big plait. Okay? If you're over there, go and have a look at the graveyard. A lot of them murdered. You want to know how? The Aboriginals used to go in there, right? And they'd get them, and they'd get their hair, and they'd twine it around the branch. So they couldn't go anywhere. They hang them by the hair, and then they'd skin them alive. Have a look at the Aboriginal art, right? It's in some cases kids can't look at it, mate. It's that graphic, right? And it's depicted it without skin. You know, we've gotten dumber, and people want to be all goody two shoes. No one wants to rock the boat anymore. I guarantee you, mate, it'll all go out the window. You know, handful of good diamonds, you know, each diamond's worth about 20 grand. Mate, just throw them in the water. Use it all running in there, killing each other. Rip each other apart. You know, the 80s were good, and the early 90s. People used to go out to socialise. And this is working from home. Are you fucking stupid? You want to support your fucking Australians in business? Think of the blokes the people who've got these rents in these buildings, these cafes. The one at the bottom of Westgate, for example, this is back years ago, right? 9 years ago, right? He was paying $15,000 a week. A week! But everyone was going there, the Westpac Bank, that was it. Well, they employed like 1,000 more, all coming in. He was laughing. And then you want to set up rules and everything else. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, and for school classrooms, no, you don't have that. They're growing hubs now. And they're actually shaped like a fucking beehive. Hub. Fucking hell. It's a joke, mate. You know, you're all a joke. Right? I can tell you now, you're jokes. And you know who you are. You know, you're the ones who know. You know who you are. Right? And you just like to stir the pot. Just to be a dickhead. Just to piss someone off. You know, it's like you know, it's like with you see the the people talking to the police. Why are you gonna be a dickhead? Let me ask you this, right? I said this to someone years ago, and I stand by it, right? Okay? Yesteryears, right? Crooks. They used to commend good policing. He's a good cop. Done it well. Not dirty. Good on him. You know, and the police used to go, decent crook, you know. Well, you know, they used to. Because people, their main thing wasn't murder, mate. Their main thing was, you know, theft from the government or a bank or something like that, you know. No, this one's got beetroot on it. You know, But now, it's like you got the little kids, right? Hey, come on, you pig, like this. Jesus Christ. Since when, if you become a crook, right, or you're a crook, why do you have to hate the police? Are you mental? They're doing a job like you're doing a job. You know what I mean? Fucking hell. Mental, mate. So the good policing, which is out the window now. All these decent cops. And when I say this, understand what I'm saying here. I'm talking about the coppers who love their job, right? They find these murderers, they find these rapists, they find these missing people. You know what I mean? How can you hate them? Honestly, how can you hate them? What do you want to do? Get rid of them? Then what? Huh? Then what? Huh? Right, boys? As it is, we got none. We got none. The security industry's gone to shit. I'll do another thing about the security, what happened there, mate. Alright. So I've had my pie. And just, you know, as I say to people, look back. Not look back for you. Look back at the others. Look back where you've come from. Just look back. Because it's what you leave behind that sets the trend on what, if you're going to keep what you're getting, if you're going to be able to stand up where you're going. If you lay down shitty foundations, you know, oh well, you're going to fall over. Okay. Go get a pipe. Happy birthday, Scroat. Alright? Helen, happy birthday. Bye.